Coral reef. Coral reefs are found in the Pacific Ocean, Indian Ocean, Caribbean Sea, Red Sea, Persian Gulf, and tropics of Cancer and Capricorn. There are many plants, animals, and coral species with different colors and different sizes. Some abiotic factors are water, sunlight, dead corals, and temperature. There are 2 seasons, dry, which is winter, and wet, which is summer, and the climate is tropical. Temperatures usually range from 68 to 97 degrees and have average precipitation amounts of 78.75 inches. Seagrass. They have a scientific name of Zostera and have high salinity tolerance, which withstands ocean salt water. They are a primary producer and have rhizomes and roots planted down to resist water movements. Phytoplankton. Phytoplankton don't weigh much, which helps them stay afloat. Spines increase surface area, preventing them from sinking too fast, and they are primary producers and are also microscopic. Zooxanthellae. Zooxanthellae promotes polyp solidification by removing carbon dioxide during photosynthesis. They are producers and are microscopic. Corals make sunscreen called fluorescent pigment, which shields zooxanthellae from UV rays. Algae. They have a scientific name of Phycophyta phyta and have body structures, defense mechanisms, and reproductive strategies to help them survive. Some have holdfasts that attach them to the seafloor and anchors them down. They are also primary producers. Mangroves. They have a scientific name of Rhizophora mangle and they tolerate wide varieties of temperatures and salinities. They are also able to survive in waterlogged and anoxic, which is no oxygen soil. They are also a producer. Seahorse. They have a scientific name of hippocampus and the ability to camouflage and change color. They have long snouts to help them find food and amazing vision with eyes that move independently. They are also secondary consumers. Sea turtles. They have long paddle-like flippers that help them move through the water quickly, and the back 2 flippers help them steer. They are primary and secondary consumers. Giant moray. They have a lack of scales and fins, which would become damaged while going through the coral reef. They have small gill openings that protect their delicate gills and big mouths to catch prey. They are secondary consumers. Clownfish. They have rounded fins that make them slower but enables them to make quick darting movements, and they are a primary consumer. Jellyfish. They are made up of 90% water, meaning floating is very easy and normal to them. They have string cells to protect themselves and are primary consumers. Energy flow. Plants and algae turn light energy to chemical energy through photosynthesis. Chemical energy is then passed through the food chain / web, and some animals eat both plants and use sun's energy. Carbon cycle. Main processes of the carbon cycle are photosynthesis and respiration. Producers produce energy for consumers to eat, and then CO2 is passed throughout the organisms. After CO2 is released back to the atmosphere. Nitrogen cycle. First, nitrogen fixation happens and plants can now use it. Primary consumers eat the plants, and nitrogen that is needed to survive is passed throughout the primary consumer. The secondary consumer eats the primary, and then receives the nitrogen. Secondary consumers dies off, and decomposers break down the remains. Denitrifying bacteria sends nitrogen back to the atmosphere, and the cycle starts again. Mutualism. Mutualism is a relationship where it is beneficial to both organisms. For example, clownfish live close with anemones. I don't know. And they protect the clownfish with stingers, and in return, clownfish scare the other fish. Commensalism. Commensalism is where one species benefits and the other is unaffected. An example is the remora fish, which stick to themselves to larger marine animals like shark and allows them to travel and collect food particles, and it doesn't disturb the other animal. Parasitism. Parasitism is where one species benefits and the other species is harmed. An example is starfish find food in polyps of corals, but the corals are stripped down to skeletons and left to die. Competition. Both species are affected negatively. An example is that sharks, like blacktip reef sharks, compete to find and eat prey like octopus. Threats. Climate change. Coral bleaching is usually caused by the climate change. Bleaching causes the ecosystem to collapse, which wildlife and humans depend on. About 30% of the world's reef died from heat stress. Overfishing. Overfishing causes the decline in fish populations, which affects the coral reef ecosystem. This also affects human job markets, and less fish causes fishermen to lose their job. There is also pollution from the fishing equipment. And that's it.